What's up guys, edrone here, and today we're going to be cleaning up my Martian 2's video, these low ESR capacitors. Stay tuned. Now, first thing I want to do is give a shout out. I purchased these low ESR capacitors from racedayquads.com. Check these guys out. Link's going to be in the description for their website. These guys are amazing. Their customer service is phenomenal, and their shipping times are really quick. Every time I have purchased from them, they just throw in a free battery strap, and not just any battery strap. I mean, this is a very nice quality battery strap. It's got a metal buckle here, and you can see on the back, it has the anti-slip gel feeling kind of stuff. So, I mean, huge shout out to Race Day Quads. They never disappoint. And I'm going to put the link down in the description for these capacitors and for Race Day Quads website. These things are quite amazing. Now, you're probably asking yourself, if you don't already know, what is a low ESR capacitor? So, a low ESR capacitor basically stands for low equivalent series resistance. And basically what these guys are going to do is when the motors and ESCs are running, normally you will get noise and lines in your video because of the voltage spikes when the braking of the motors. When these motors are throttling up and throttling down, you do tend to get noise in your video, and it also can actually transmit to your flight controller and just creates a bunch of unwanted noise. So what these guys are going to do here is they're going to supply current when the voltage goes down. So when the ESCs are braking the motors, these little guys store some of the current, and it will actually kind of smooth things out so you don't have those real bad spikes. Same thing when the voltage goes up. It's going to kind of sink the current so that you don't get those huge voltage spikes in your video and transmit to your flight controller. So all in all, these are supposed to make the quad fly better, and they're supposed to make your video better. Now, you can either go with 4 individual low ESR capacitors and put one on each ESC and motor combo, or you can get one large ESR capacitor and put it on your battery terminals on your quad. Now, the only thing is, if you're running 4 individual ESCs like I am, it's actually better to run 4 individual low ESR capacitors versus one large capacitor. You'll get better results. This has been proven. Check out many videos online. This has been proven. However, if you have a 4-in-1 ESC, these are not going to be an option for you. You're going to have to go with one large capacitor. Now, these are measured in microfarads. Now, these are Panasonic's. They are from the Race Day Quads website. They are 330 microfarads each, and they are 25 volt. And like I said, they are low ESR. You can't just put any kind of capacitors on a race quad. You have to get low ESR capacitors, and you have to make sure that your voltage is correct, which I'm running 4-cell, 25 volts is fine. Now, taking a look up close, you will notice that one wire on the capacitor is actually shorter than the other. You can see that in the tape. You see the long wire sticking out? The long wire is always going to be the positive side of the capacitor. Now, some of them are actually written on the capacitors. You can see right here, the huge minus sign means that that's the negative side of the capacitor. Now, on the positive side of the capacitor, on these particular ones, there is no plus sign, but you just know that the long side is positive and the short side is negative. You must wire these up correctly in order for them to work. If you wire them up wrong, they will not work, and you will not get the expected results. So as you know, this quad is a rather noisy quad. The Emax 2205S 2300 kV motors combined with these DYS 30 amp ESCs are very noisy. I've tried to battle the noise with these for a while now. I have soft mounted the motors. I've used the same ground on the flight controller for the video transmitter and the camera that's on the flight controller, not on the PDB, and I still am getting noise. So I'm not satisfied with the video, so I'm going to go ahead and install these 4 low ESR capacitors. So these are rather inexpensive. They're actually 99 cents a piece, so they're very cheap. Of course you'll have your shipping, but Race Day Quads, they don't really hit you over the head with shipping. I think I paid like $3.59 for shipping, which is not bad at all. So first thing I'm going to need to do to install these capacitors is, you see here I have 4 individual ESC covers, and I have them zip tied down. So I'm going to have to cut these zip ties and open these up so we can see exactly where the capacitors are going to be soldered. Now to make this job even easier, I'm going to go ahead and remove all 4 props, and I'm going to take off the top plate of the Martian 2. Special shout out to my good friend MD95 TSI. Check him out on YouTube. He 3D printed me this nice little prop wrench so we don't have to cut up our fingers trying to remove these props. Need to cut this wire back some. I have to cut back the heat shrink on the ESC in order to solder to the positive and negative. Rather than cutting the whole entire heat shrink off, I think what I'm going to do is take my X-Acto knife and just cut around the positive and the negative, and that way I have just enough to go ahead and solder on, but I don't have to really reapply all this heat shrink here. Now what I did was, here on the ESC protector, I just trimmed the top portion here to allow room for the capacitor leads to go through and connect to the ESC. So I just snipped the top layer of the heat shrink coating back so that we can solder up the capacitor there. So we're going to make our measurement here and know exactly where we're going to cut our cap. And it's always good to just give yourself a little bit of extra room, because you can always cut more off if you need to. So just get you a pair of, dikes or wire cutters and just snip it off where you need it. Just like that. I've got my soldering iron turned up about medium high. And what we're going to do is we're just going to place the positive terminal on top of the solder here. Going to heat it up. And there you go. We've got all 4 capacitors soldered on. And yeah, it's not the easiest job, but I was able to get it done. We got all the ESCs, the connections taped up now where the capacitors are soldered on. So we're going to go ahead and put our ESC protectors back on, zip tie them down, and we'll have a look at it when it's all back together. We have all 4 of our ESCs back on now, and we have them zip tied down, and you can see the capacitors. The only thing we have left to do is just put the props back on and tighten up the top plate. So I can't wait to take this out, take a little flight, and do some comparison video before and after. while the capacitors don't get rid of all the noise, they definitely do make an improvement that I can see. So I definitely see that.